up on this episode of DL Weekly, a possible timeline for Splash Mountain, new Star Tours scenes could be on the way, the Blue Bayou has reopened,
some updates on Toon Town from the sky, Fantasmic viewing tips, we talk to the Disneyana fan club president Nicolasa, and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Howdy, partners! For your safety, remain seated with your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the podcast. And be sure to watch your ears. If any of you folks are wearing hats or glasses, best remove them, because Tag and Teresa have the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of June 8th, 2022. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm Tag Bushman. We'd like to send a shout out and a big thank you to Lisa W. and Matt L. for becoming official weekly tiers on our Patreon. Our supporters get some pretty nice perks like DL Weekly swag, bonus content, access to our Discord community, and more. Right now, annual pass holder level and above are actually hearing and interacting with us on YouTube as we record this episode. So that and a bunch of things. We have movie nights. We have book clubs with authors on and stuff like that. Our next one is going to be The Cleaning the Kingdom, the second book with Lynn from the Sweet Spot. Will be there on our book club. That's happening in July. So if you're interested in all of that, head on over to dlweekly.net/support to join the community.
Our friends over at All Enchanting Ears have been busy. They make fun and unique ears, plus ear holders, straw toppers, with fanes, and oh, so much more. They're offering a special discount code available to all weekly tiers. Use code DLWeekly10 for 10% off your entire purchase. Head on over to allenchantingears.com and check them out. Tag and I actually just got to open some magic mail from them, and we are, you can't see us, because it's a podcast, but we are sporting their brand new 3D printed ears. I have on the Fantasmic set, and Tag, of course, has on the People Mover set in purple.
They've brought back the People Mover to my head.
Brought back the People Mover. I have to say, they are so comfortable. They snap on with magnets. We've been sitting here playing with them and like flipping, changing them out. You can change them out without even looking. That's how strong the magnets are. It's very, very cool. Anyways, go check them out. allenchantingears.com.
Now let's get to the news.
Unconfirmed information set the online theme park community into a frenzy this week. Annika Nani Rose, the voice of Tiana from Princess and the Frog, was interviewed on the Kelly and Ryan talk show and made a comment that the Splash Mountain refurbishment had a projected opening of 2024. This is the first time that a solid time frame has been spoken about. Disney would not confirm or deny the information, but they did release a statement that they will have more to share at the Essence Festival of Culture in New Orleans in July.
I didn't even know they were going to be making an announcement or anything at the Essence Festival of Culture in New Orleans, but that's an awesome time to announce stuff.
I wonder if that was also supposed to be a surprise, but maybe since there was,
all the hubbub.
There was hubbub, they had to maybe jump ahead their announcement timeline for that. But I'm very excited. So, who knows if 2024 is the correct time frame or not. We will know once we hear from Disney for sure. But do expect that this attraction is going to take a long time, to be able to do the re-theme. I'm curious as to how long that's going to take. I was trying to think back. Obviously, Guardians, Tower of Terror to Guardians didn't have as many animatronics and theme, physical items that they were having to swap out. But I was trying to remember how long that re-theme took to try and gauge how long this one might take, because I don't know, man. I tell you, the concept art that we saw, oh gosh, it's been well over a year now, the concept art that they released showing what the outside of the attraction might look like and kind of give you a hint of what some of the show scenes are going to look like. Not only are they swapping out the interior, but they are putting Mama Odie's houseboat in the tree on top. So they're retheming the outside as well. So very excited to see this come to life.
Yeah, and July, not that far away. I just pulled up the website. It's actually only June 30th to July 3rd, so it'll be the very beginning of July we find out about this.
Sooner.
My thought is, if the 2024 timeframe is to be believed, here's what I think is going to happen. I think when the summer season is over, sometime between summer and the holiday season, it will close.
That makes sense, yeah.
And then it will be closed all of 2023, and it will open probably the beginning of summer 2024. That would be my guess of a timeline with all of the stuff that they have to do. We've known that they were going to do this for a while, so I feel like they probably have done like they did with Guardians, where they're trying to get a bunch of stuff prepped and ready.
Oh, yeah.
So when they do have to do it, they have a bunch of stuff together.
Yep, more of a quick install thing. Versus...
I'm excited. I mean, it's nice to have, even if this is just a rumor, to have any information about this, because there was a lot of people online talking about, well, now what's going to happen? Like, they haven't talked about it in a while, and they've announced all these other things that they've done, like Tarzan's Treehouse, like, suddenly happened, and all of these other things going on. So, really cool, excited. I'm glad that we heard something. Again, it is just a rumor. Disney has not said anything, although considering the fact that they're going to announce this at New Orleans, it seems pretty obvious that they're going to announce something about this. Fingers crossed that it is 2024 and not something like 2025 or 2026. Well, at Star Wars Celebration last week, it was announced at one of the panels that new scenes would be coming to Star Tours. No details have been released on what the scenes will be, but it is always a welcome addition to have more options. Once we know more, we'll be sure to talk about it on a future episode.
This is something that feels relatively small, but it's still so exciting because this is something in the grand scheme of redoing attractions. This is a simple thing that they can do versus... a total overhaul, Splash.
Well, it's so easy to add just a scene in the situation.
The thing that's really cool about this, too, is the Star Wars universe is huge, first of all. But it's also feels like, it continues to expand. So they've got such a diverse collection of planets and creatures and characters and all that they can choose from to kind of, keep this attraction fresh and keep it exciting. So I think that's really exciting. And also, I don't know if we've mentioned this yet, but Star Tours is celebrating its 35th anniversary this year as well. So why not give the attraction a little extra TLC and a little more, oomph for its 35th year as well. So I'm excited to see what scenes they come out with. I feel
like there'll be some Mandalorian stuff, maybe
that could
some... depending on when they release it, maybe some Obi-Wan stuff.
Well, I was trying to think, when did they... The last time I remember
Rise of Skywalker, they added stuff.
Was it Rise of Skywalker they did? Okay.
Yeah, because they did some for The Force Awakens, then they did some for Rise of Skywalker.
See, I was thinking it was like Force Awakens and Batuu were the last two.
Oh, they did add Batuu. But I think Rise of Skywalker was after that, wasn't it?
I don't know my Star Wars timeline that well to know for sure when those released. Anyways, but see, I thought it had been like four, maybe 5 years since we had new stuff. Maybe it's been sooner than that, though.
So Jakku from The Force Awakens came in 2015.
Okay.
Crate from Last Jedi and Batuu came in 2017. And then the Ocean Moon from The Rise of Skywalker came in 2019.
Yes. Okay. So it hasn't been quite as long as I thought it was like the 2017 time frame. It had been like 5 years. So we have had.
So it looks like they're on it about every 2 year kind of thing. And with COVID, of course, like it'll be a little bit longer than that. But we had 2015, we had 2017, we had 2019. So pretty cool.
Pretty exciting. As we reported last week, Radiator Springs Racers was forced to close after an incident where smoke was coming from one of the ride vehicles. After a 10-day closure, the attraction reopened on Friday, June 3rd. Still no official word on what the cause of the incident was, but a former Disneyland maintenance cast member told Mice Chat that the ride vehicles break down regularly, and circuit breakers in each car will cause the vehicle to stop when problems do arise.
Yeah, so I think it was just... the safety systems worked how they were supposed to. Nobody got hurt. It was flashy, right? Because smoke and panic and everything like that. But I'm glad that they took the time that they needed. They had people come recertify everything, make sure everything's good. There was a lot of talk online about how it has never gone down for refurbishment since it opened. But also the fact that we talked about last episode where it's such a popular attraction and handles so many guests.
Yeah.
That it would be really hard to close it to do a refurbishment.
Well, and even with this unexpected closure, as brief as it was, that having such a popular attraction close in DCA it's a huge impact because that puts more stress on the other attractions. And I would argue that Radiator Springs Racers is the most popular attraction in DCA. Yes, Web Slingers is popular, and yes, at times Guardians wait times soar, but I do think that Racers is the number one popular attraction for DCA. And it's just hard because
it's family friendly too.
DCA doesn't have the same volume and same number of rides as Disneyland does. So it's much more difficult. And that's why you see wait times in DCA are not always the best, because there's just not as many places for people to go to get in queues to experience rides. So it does take a toll. There's been, of course, all sorts of rumor and speculation as to what happened to the vehicle, but again, the main thing that we're happy for is that nobody was hurt, that it was something that they were able to resolve quickly, and they do just a ton of testing before they open this back to the public. So you can rest assured that everything will be okay the next time you take a trip and race with Mater and Lightning and the whole gang at Radiator Springs.
It's a great attraction. I sometimes wish, like, it's kind of a victim of its own popularity, where same thing with like Indiana Jones. It'd be nice that they could close it for a while and do like a really good refurb, because it deserves it. But it's such a workhorse, and so many people expect it to be there that it's hard for them to take it down for these refurbishments. And they're so advanced that it would be a longer refurbishment. So, well, guests at Disneyland can dine at a favorite restaurant that has recently reopened in a limited capacity. The Blue Bayou has returned, but is not taking online reservations, but guests can join the walk-up waitlist for lunch and dinner at the podium at the restaurant or through the Disneyland mobile app. Pirates of the Caribbean is still closed for refurbishment, so the view may not be as magical as normal. I saw some video today that still has the construction walls up inside, so if looking out into the bayou is kind of your selling point for Blue Bayou, right now is not the time. The Fantasmic dining packages aren't available yet, but I did look today, and their reservation times on the website, you can book an 11 a.m., starting at 11 a.m. on June 16th at Blue Bayou. So that's something.
So one of the big changes with this refurbishment is actually not inside the restaurant itself. It's on the outside. The Blue Bayou, which was once painted kind of a greenish color, is now blue. How fitting. Like, why
has it taken so long?
Why was the Blue Bayou, like, I didn't even dawn on me, like, that the Blue Bayou wasn't blue until now suddenly it is blue. But we will post a link. Magic Journeys peeked inside, and they did do some video inside of what it looks like now. It looks very much the same, so it looks like they just kind of did a refresh. They mentioned something about the bar area had some work done, but to me the most like apparent thing that has changed was the exterior portion being painted blue now.
What did I click on? Oh, here we go. Yep, so there it is, blue. I think it looks nice.
You know what's nice though? The best part about this is first of all, the Blue Bayou is blue. I mean, that's great. But the other thing that I love, too, is there's now more distinction between this and the what
Other
will
stuff.
be who knows what next to it. Because those two buildings were very, very similar in color. So I'm talking about, oh gosh, what did it used to be called now? That shop. Le Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw Le, I'm like, Baton Rouge. Okay. The former Le Baton Rouge shop and Blue Bayou, those paints. I like that this is blue now, because it had been kind of a greenish color, like we said. And when Le Baton Rouge closed, and it's now just kind of an empty space, they painted it a green color. So they looked very similar. So I appreciate that we have a difference in color now, again, in this part of New Orleans Square. Adds to the charm.
I'm just excited that we can get a Fantasmic dining package there in the future, too.
Yes, of course. MiceChat was able to obtain aerial photos of Toon Town progress this week. From the air, we can see that all of the pavement in the land has been removed and is currently dirt. The facade of the El Capitan Theater is looking more and more complete. The area where the new park will be located has been cleared and awaiting work to start. Both fountains in the land have also been removed, along with the gazebo in front of the City Hall building. It's very open looking right now.
It is very open looking. This is kind of neat. I'm sad, and will continue to be sad about the loss of the fountains, because the fountains were a really nice feature. The gazebo is something that I have a lot of memories with, and that is also gone.
It makes sense though, because when you're looking at the layout, the El Capitan facade pokes out into the land more than I was originally thinking that it was going to. So it makes sense that things like the gazebo weren't able to still be there, because I feel like the gazebo would have been like right in front of the El Capitan Theater.
I didn't realize until looking at this, now that everything's been cleared, how much like empty open space there is in the middle of this land. Because before, it felt like there was a lot of things kind of everywhere, but there wasn't really.
There wasn't because you did have the fountains in spaces. You did have the Jolly Trolley station. There was
don't remind me of the Jolly Trolley.
Little and like the different cars that were parked out. So there was different elements, but now that when you remove all those elements, the space feels much more wide open than it did before, which is what they were going for, right? They want it to be kind of more of a big open green space to kind of, get playtime and all sorts of fun.
The former entrance to Tarzan's treehouse has come out from behind walls this week. The area is much more open now for guest traffic heading out of Adventureland towards the bridge over the Pirates Quay. Once again, there is not any theming on the new concrete. The lack of the entrance also allows parts of New Orleans Square to be visible throughout Adventureland.
So I'll be honest, and you actually don't even know my opinions on this quite yet.
Do I?
So when we first saw photos of this, Philander, one of the people that we follow on Instagram, super awesome guy. But anyways, he had shared photos of the freshly poured concrete and the openness. And I will say this, you do get very nice views of the Pirates of the Caribbean area that you didn't used to get to see before because A, it was behind the two big, beautiful trees that they had to remove.
Yep.
And B, you also have the Tarzan tree, the tree stump in the way. So you do, when you're to that point, you have these beautiful views of that building, which I had forgotten how lovely that building was. So that,
you're
that
talking
was a
about
pleasant surprise.
this.
Yes. I think that looks awesome. So, but the one thing that worried me was that
this view?
Yes, was the view from if you were say just leaving the tiki room or just getting off the Jungle Cruise and looking across Adventureland. I have a thing with sightlines, and Disney did a really good job, has been doing a really good job with sightlines. Unlike Disney World, they don't do a really good job of sightlines. So I really appreciate that. So I was really worried that the sightline was going to be totally messed up here. It is not as bad as I thought.
Oh, I'm impressed.
It is not as bad as I thought because as long as that big, beautiful tree just behind the Indiana Jones Adventure sign doesn't have something happen to it, which I hope not because that's where the little man of Disneyland lives. We don't want anything happening to that tree. That tree does a nice job of kind of
covering it up,
covering the area and still keeping you feel that jungle feel.
So what do you think of this? Is there kind of a
tiny
massive
tree there? What is going on there?
That's a little palm frond thing. I don't think they're done because there's this still jutting out. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but I do like the...
It's open. No, the last thing that I saw of it that the nothing's there.
Yeah, it's right here.
No, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, but I'm saying the blocking of it off.
Yeah,
that's not there anymore. You can walk over it.
Oh. I still don't like this stupid Mickey and Friends parking garage swooping stuff.
I'm not a fan of the unthemed concrete. Whoever knew that theming concrete was going to be it's such a Disney thing to have everything themed. So the fact that they're missing the mark on the concrete makes it more obvious, I guess would be a good way of saying it. So I'm not excited that we have another patch in our patchwork quilt of concrete over here. But past that, the sight lines are not as bad as I originally thought they were going to be. So
a win for Teresa.
So we're going to go a half win.
A half win?
Half win.
It
still doesn't feel as jungly to me without that. I don't know why, but it just felt like I think maybe it was the rope bridge that made it feel kind of jungly because there was vines hanging from it and all that. So it was very,
Yeah, I mean, because the tree provided a block between New Orleans Square. I'm looking at a Google
couldn't see it.
Street View kind of thing.
And it was one of those things you didn't realize that you couldn't see New Orleans Square, which was literally
right there.
Right there. It did. It provided a nice visual line or whatever you want to call it between the two areas.
I just am interested to see what they do with the treehouse because I don't want them to not do anything with it.
Right.
Oh, there was actually some other trees and stuff here before.
Now, if they could build that part back up to keep our jungle vibe and keep our sight lines good. That would be. I'd
we
be
can
happy
hope.
with that.
We can hope.
We can hope. We are 1 week into June, and Celebrate Soulfully has officially kicked off at Disneyland. In Disney California Adventure, groups have been performing at the Hollywood Pictures Backlot stage and in front of Carthay Circle daily, and seasonal food offerings are scattered about.
So some of the stuff we talked about before, they have Tale of the Lion King going on. They have we talked about the jazz thing that's the exhibit that's really well done and cool. There's one of the things that have been seen there is the Urban Music Society at the Backlot stage.
This was exciting to me because for some reason I thought that the live music that was going to be in the parks in DCA was only going to be in front of Carthay, over by the fountain.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they were going to be using the stage at the Backlot. I think this is perfect because that poor stage for most of its life
it's like meet and greets
or it's just ignored. And so it's very exciting to me that they brought live entertainment to that stage because come on, why not? I feel like going forward, whether they rotate things out seasonally or whatever they choose to do, I think having live entertainment at this stage would bring a whole lot of life back to that corner of the park. And I think that's really exciting. Yeah.
And then, of course, they have some seasonal food offerings as well. They have a foot-long barbecue pulled pork dog at Award Wieners and the peaches and cream funnel cake fries, which sounds like it could be pretty good. I don't know. I'm still thinking about the funnel cake that we had with the cookies and cream funnel cake that was very good.
Yes, that was unexpectedly delicious.
All right. I know a lot of you guys are already professionals and you don't need a lot of this stuff, but in case you aren't, for anyone who has never seen Fantasmic or would like some tips on how to best experience it, the Orange County Register posted some tips. Along the best tips, at least in my opinion, are to make sure to find a spot in front of one of the 3 missed screens. They're located in the front of the island and one on each side of the island. If you find yourself in the middle of the screens, the view isn't as good. The other standout tip is to catch the second show of the night.
Yes.
The second show is always less crowded, and it is impossible to sit for hours holding a spot since the entire area is cleared after the first show and after the fireworks that happens usually after the first show. The longest you'll have to wait is about an hour between that and that.
Seriously, that's the best advice. Same thing I feel with if you're doing a dining package. Yes, a dining package does get you access into a certain reserved area depending on which restaurant you have your dining package through. But if you can get your dining reservation for the second, to have it for the second showtime over the first, you almost are, it's just easier to get a better seat then because, like Tag mentioned, they clear everybody out. And so it's not like people...
And they come in and clean.
Yep, they come in and clean. You can't be camping out there for hours. So, for example, I went down a rabbit hole this weekend, go figure, and was watching some YouTube videos. Fresh Baked had a YouTube video. Magic Journeys had a YouTube video. They did some of the dining packages on the opening weekend. And, they were opening... I want to say the seating areas opened for the dining packages... Don't quote me. I could be wrong. And it was also opening night, so it may have been a little bit different. But it was like 2 to 3 hours ahead of showtime is when they had opened. It was probably 2 hours, maybe 2.5. But it was quite a while. So you had to be hanging out on the concrete for quite a while So, but if you're on that second showing, you just got to wait until everything's finished and then... go right in.
Well, and they made a couple comments on this Orange County Register article that I had a little beef with because they said you don't want to sit like right in the front in the middle.
But you do.
Because then you're kind of looking at it through the railing and it's like you're in Fantasmic prison watching it or whatever. And I'm like, I don't understand the problem here. And then you also get a little misty because like sometimes if the wind blows or something. But
there is a splash zone to Fantasmic.
But I think it's great because you dry off at the end with the fire.
It is. I will say if it's like the fall or winter or spring, it does get a little chilly with that mist because we sat at the fence for Pixar Fest, which we were there in like March. That was a little chilly with that mist, but as soon as the fire though, holy buckets, like you do get warmed up with the fire. The other thing that I want to mention too is Murphy's been having some time. She, just to kind of forewarn, or if you haven't known, she hasn't always been at her tip-top performance. Some of the videos that I've seen, she's out, she's working, but she didn't light the river on fire. reports I've heard is she didn't come out for the first showing at all, but then when she did come out for the second showing, everything went according to plan, so she was breathing fire. So Murphy's a little hit or miss right now, which I mean is that's why her name is Murphy. So so just kind of just so you have your expectations correct, Murphy's a little just being a little bit of a diva.
So what you're saying is people should get a dining package, get a really great spot for the first show, then stay
also,
and do the second show.
There you go. That's your best.
I mean, Fantasmic's great. I'd watch it twice in one night.
Yeah, 100%.
We should do like a challenge where if they ever do like a 3-night show again, we should just try to do boom, boom, boom.
There you go.
It's a great show. I think, honestly, when Fantasmic is playing, I feel like the admission to the park is worth, like, Fantasmic alone is worth the admission to the park.
Yeah, so good. Well, much like the electrical parade, there is a favorite treat at Disneyland that keeps on returning. The Fluffer Nutter Churro is available once again at Willie's Churros on Buena Vista Street in Disney California Adventure. The churro is a standard churro, but it's topped with a peanut butter sauce, marshmallow sauce, and chocolate chips. The churro is available for $6.75.
We tried this, didn't we?
We did. It's delicious, but very messy.
And sweet, isn't it?
Yes, and very sweet.
Yeah, so I think I remember liking it. I feel like this churro keeps coming back, and when I was writing the script tonight, I was just thinking, it's like the electrical parade, it just keeps coming back. But it's good because people love it.
It hasn't come back that many times yet.
No, but people like it. So it's good that it comes back. Maybe it'll become like a permanent thing at some point. Because it seems like it's very popular.
Possibly.
Well, when we were there last month, there was a line of walls up in front of Ariel's Undersea Adventure. Those walls have finally come down to reveal that they were just replacing the concrete in the area. This is just some of the walkway repaving that has been going on around the entire resort. I feel like there's all types of these type of things going on.
Story of Disneyland's life right now, concrete repaving.
Unfortunately, this one looks good as opposed to the Norland Square.
This one doesn't. It's not as obvious that they replaced this patch of concrete.
Same thing with like Hollywood Boulevard. They were doing some work there.
Yeah, you're right. They did a nice job with those.
What I'm curious is when are they going to refurbish? Since we're talking about groundwork, when are they going to refurbish the pavers in between the parks?
I feel very sad. Oh, I thought you were going to say the bricks on Main Street, but yeah, the pavers. I feel like that's a hot topic. I feel like that's a real hot topic because I mean, you're a brick owner. You would only, when people purchase the bricks in between, in the Esplanade in between the two parks, you were only told that the brick would exist for
some amount of time that's already passed.
Yeah, whatever the amount of time was. Well, that amount of time has passed. However, like you, many people are very attached to their brick and I've seen all sorts of TikToks and like videos of people going out and like polishing, because some of them have like bronze coin things, people like giving all sorts of extra TLC to their bricks. So like people are very attached to it. So I feel like even though, yes, technically they were only promised to be there for a certain period of time, and yes, that period of time has passed, I still think it's a touchy subject to remove those bricks. So I
don't think they should remove them. I think they should go out and they should refurbish them.
Oh, well, but
so like some of them that are missing the emblems, they should replace the emblems.
No, but how would you do that? Because the person again was only guaranteed a certain period of time. Do you resell the brick?
I think that the brick itself is still in good condition. You're just missing the emblem.
There's other bricks though that aren't, and you can't even like the whatever the coloring to read things.
I think
worn off.
For public relations and goodwill of people, that Disney, instead of tearing them out and replacing them all, I think it would be cheaper to replace the ones that are needing replacement with a duplicate and replace the little symbols and stuff there, and just kind of leaving everything else alone.
But again, do you just replace it, or do you contact that person and see if they want it replaced or not?
I mean, I guess you could, but I feel like that adds a lot more complication to it. But
again, I'm playing devil's advocate here. Mm-hmm. And I'm also playing someone who doesn't own a brick that would like to own a brick.
Maybe that's what they could do.
There certain terms.
They could tell everybody,
if they resell bricks,
we're starting it over. Mm-hmm. These will be removed, and everybody can buy a new one if they want.
Yeah, I think that would be
that's a good idea.
Quote-unquote fair way to do it. You're going to, A, replenish the bricks, but then, B, the people that... And maybe if you were a previous brick owner, you get a discount. But, because there might be some people that got it and, aren't as attached. But then, like I
Sure.
said, there's a lot of people that visit their bricks.
Yep.
And, like I said, do all sorts of extra TLC. So
I
think if they resold it in sections.
I would also want the option to keep my location because I'm good at finding my brick now.
You know where your brick is.
So I think that giving people an option to purchase a new version and keep it in the same spot, I feel like this isn't going to happen because it's too complicated for them.
It is.
But I like the idea. I would buy another one.
If we were in charge of the bricks,
I would buy another one.
this is how we would do the bricks.
DLWeekly would buy one.
Oh, 100% DLWeekly would have a brick. And it would be flanked by Tag and Teresa. We'll have 3 bricks.
But see, the
Tag
thing
brick,
is
Teresa
when you bought it, they didn't tell you where it was going to be until it was installed.
Yeah.
So it's not like you could request.
That's true.
That-
Maybe we can say, excuse me, can you please, we're going to buy 3 bricks. Can you either do them in a row or can you make a Mickey out of them? Choice is yours. So, yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what they're going to, I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, I feel like that's a can of worms.
Yeah.
Psst, avast there. You come seeking questions and long-lost Disney information, eh? Sure, you come to the proper place, but keep a weather eye open, mates, and hold on tight, with both hands, if you please. There be squalls ahead, and James and Vern waiting for them what don't answer correctly.
Welcome to Trivia Land. How are we feeling tonight? You ready for some good ones?
I don't even know what to expect tonight, to be honest.
Well, good, because tonight we're trying something new.
Uh-oh.
I had a new idea popped in my head the other day, and I don't know if it's going to be fun or if it's just going to be new, or we'll find out. This is a whole new thing that I haven't tried before. So no listener submitted questions tonight, so it should be a much easier night for the two of you, and let's see how you do. So. You've both used the Disneyland Parks app, yes?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
So
yes.
how familiar are you with the ride descriptions in the app?
Not very at all.
Well, let's
I use it
find
to look at wait
out.
times, not ride descriptions.
We've written everything. We don't need descriptions.
We're going to test your knowledge of ride descriptions in the Disneyland Parks app.
This could be fun.
You get 4 questions plus a bonus question. We're going to start off with soar high in the sky on a fanciful flight above Fantasyland aboard blank.
Dumbo.
I need the full name of the
The
attraction,
flying
please.
elephant.
Dumbo the Flying Elephant, yeah.
All right. Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
For your second question, ride the rails with blank through Storybook Land, past miniature versions of some of Disney's most beloved locales.
I will
Casey
let you
Jr.
answer.
Circus Train. Which we're going to talk about in our discussion topic tonight.
Oh,
Do we get to that tonight?
I don't know, but it'll be in either tonight's or next week's because there's a 2-part interview.
Your third question. Hop inside a woodcarver's cart and take off for fantastic adventures that revisit the beloved tale of
Pinocchio's Daring Adventures.
Journey.
Daring Journey? Daring Journey. You're right.
Journey or Adventure.
Journey.
I'm going with Journey.
It's Journey. Because it was Snow White's Scary Adventures before. And Peter Pan's Flight and Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
All right, is that your final answer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Zig and zag during a manic motor car drive through the English countryside.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I feel pretty good about this. I like this version, Vern. I mean, we don't have answers yet, but...
Ed, for your bonus question. Spin up, down, and all around atop a regal steed. This classic attraction harkens back to the Knights of the Round Table.
King Arthur's Carousel.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
All right. Well, that was your test of your knowledge of descriptions in the Disneyland Parks app. Listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Stick around until after the discussion topic, and we'll all find out together.
Can I just say that I like this version because it was probably 3 minutes long, and editing is going to be a breeze.
Yes.
And it's not a bunch of, I don't know, back, forth. So I like this.
I think in the future, maybe don't tell us what
Land it's in.
land.
That was a slip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that might help.
I mean, he'll gauge how good we're doing, and he will adjust
there you
certain
go.
knobs and
There you
things
go.
accordingly.
Yeah.
What he should do You know, it'd be really crazy. He should go look in like the menus and like pick a menu item and be like, which restaurant is this at?
Ooh, don't give him ideas.
No, because I feel like this could be fun. Anyway.
Well, this week we have a very special guest joining us. We have Nicolasa, who is the president of the Disneyana fan club, which you've all heard us geek out about how much we enjoyed our time at their most recent event back in, well, gosh, it's been a couple weeks already now. But welcome, Nicolasa. We're so excited to chat with you today.
Thank you very much. It's exciting to be here.
I'll tell you, I had heard about Disneyana. We'll get into this later, but I had heard about Disneyana, I don't know, years and years ago, but I didn't really know much about it. And the fact that that we came across this event, and it was such a great event. And again, we'll probably talk a little bit about that as well. But it's so amazing that you and Disneyana have been able to put these events and stuff on. And it was so great to be back after COVID and be there for your first kind of get together and everything. So here's hoping for many more, and hopefully some of our listeners who hear you and hear us talk about it will show up and come to your future Disneyana events.
That'd be wonderful.
We always kind of start at the beginning and want to kind of know how you got to be where you are today with Disney. So can you tell us your Disney story? What got you interested in Disney, the brand, or Disneyland, the park? Kind of what's your history?
I grew up living in Southern California and going to Disneyland twice a year with my family. My father was a newspaper reporter for the Los Angeles Times. And back then, they didn't have a business section. They had like 2 or 3 pages at the end of the sports section where they'd write about business. But he'd write about the quarterly earnings of companies, and he knew all the PR reps for all the companies. So what he wanted to, and this was in the days where he could get free gifts from them. Later, reporters were banned from doing that. But back then, they got free gifts. So he would just call up the PR man for Disney and say, hey, we're going. Can we have some tickets? And they'd give us free tickets.
That's
so
awesome.
we go in the summer, and then we go at Christmas time. But the origins of some people say, for my fierce love of Disney is my entire family went to the opening of Disneyland, except for me.
Oh!
No.
Now, I used to think it was just my older brother and sister, my mom and dad. And I stayed with my grandmother because I was only 18 months at the time. I don't know why they thought I was too young, but apparently they did. And then, oh man, like 20 years ago, I was at Disneyland with my cousin, and she said, wow, this is great. You know, this reminds us when we all went to Disneyland, all the cousins. And I'm the youngest cousin. I said, what do you mean you all went? Yeah, we all went. Uncle Joe took us all. I thought, I didn't know that. So I've been making up for it ever since, the theory goes.
That's great.
But I have great memories of going to Disneyland as a kid with my mom and dad. I have no memories of going with my brother and sister, to be quite honest. But I do remember going with my mom and dad. And, I just fell in love. And I just continue as an adult.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So the fact that you didn't go kind of turns you into a fan, which is weird because usually it's people went and you become a fan, but I guess you're just making up for it. Yeah,
and of course, unlike them, I have been celebrating the birthdays pretty much from starting the 30th. I've been celebrating every year since the 30th.
Wow.
That's when I started getting really involved with the Disneyana fan club, and then I decided I wanted to collect. I thought, well, it'd be fun to collect. Oh, terrible. And so we went to this toy show in Glendale. They have this huge one in Glendale, which is close to me, and we went up and down the aisles, and I said, I want to collect something Disney. I decided on buttons, because they're small. Mm-hmm. You know, it didn't seem too bad. And I ran into the Levins, Elaine and Ed Levin, and they had a little club they were starting called the Mouse Club. And they were going to have the very first convention of the Mouse Club in Anaheim at a local small hotel. And I said, well, this sounds lots of fun. So that was in 1982, and that started my interest in Disney convention. So we went in 82, and I went in 83, and I met all these wonderful people. Oh my God, it was great. All crazy people like us, and a lot of wonderful, I got to meet Clarence Ducky Nash, the original voice of Donald Duck.
Yeah.
He used to walk around with this big suitcase, and inside was Donald Duck as a puppet, hand puppet. And he would take it out and he'd start talking, as Donald Duck goes. And the second year, I think he did that because he came to the second convention too. He had in tow Tony who was learning to be the voice of the master.
Oh.
And he was following him around, listening to him and stuff. It was really cool.
Wow.
And met a bunch of animators. I remember asking one of the 12 men who's really eccentric. What's his name? Glasses, big glasses. I think it's Ward Kimball. I know I offended him because he was drawing pictures for us, which was like phenomenal, right? Ward Kimball, he'll draw anyone. And I didn't know who he was famous for at the time. So I just said, draw whoever you like. And he got really miffed by that. He did not like me asking him that. But anyway, it was really fun. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. What amazing memories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was great. So 82 and 83 was that. And then in 84, the LA was having their Summer Olympics. And so they didn't want to do one in 84. So instead, we just had a one-day meet at someone's home in a suburb called Hacienda Heights. And the Levins had this as their private business. This was their business. It wasn't a nonprofit or anything. And they had just sold it that weekend to a couple called McEwen's. So they purchased it. In the meantime, after 82, some of us in Orange County started meeting on a regular basis. We thought, this is fun. We don't want to do it once a year. It was fun getting together, people's in a living room. So we went up to the McEwen's and we said, we'd really like to have meet monthly. Do you think we can do that? We're members of the Mouse Club. We would love to do, Mouse Club meetings monthly. And they said, no, we don't want that. We only want the convention.
Oh.
And we walked away and we said, we don't have to have it. We don't have to call ourselves the Mouse Club. We could just do it because we want to do it. Mm-hmm. And that really in 84, late spring of 84 was the beginning of the Disneyana Fan, which at that time was called the National Fantasy Fan Club, or NFFC. And we just said, you know what? We don't need them. We can do this. Right. And so we walked away and we formed our own organization. And our very first convention, and technically the beginning of the official NFFC, was July of 1985, which was also 30th anniversary of Disneyland. And we had a convention. And we always wanted to have the convention around Disneyland's birthday, but not on Disneyland's birthday. So we did it. Sometimes we'd start, back then it was a whole week. We'd start on a Monday, and depending on when the birthday would land, that would be a day off. So we could all go to the park together, and then we'd end with the show and sale always on a Sunday.
Wow.
So you have been with the club since before the club was the club. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's still two of us left on the current board. Myself and Louis Boyce, who really was the pioneering spirit of an impetus for getting us organized. He had the skills to do that, and from past organizations. So though he wasn't the first president, he really guided the first president, who was a woman named Marion Guyver. We used to meet at her house every month, and then he became the second president.
What a cool history.
And this is before the internet. Mm-hmm. This is before any of that. There were no Disney clubs that we knew of except the Mouse Club. Mm-hmm. So for the first 5 or 6 years, our competition was the Mouse Club. They would have their conventions in August. We would have ours in July. And we would go to theirs. They wouldn't come to ours. Theirs was a business. And they did it for, I don't know how many years. They had it at what is now the Paradise Pier Hotel. It was called the Emerald Hotel, I believe, at that time, and then Disney bought it. They finally disbanded because one of their parting words to us was, be careful of all the comps you give, because that will ruin you with the speakers.
Yeah.
And so it just got not to be financially feasible for them. So
sure.
We kind of petered out.
Wow. Well, I'm sure we're going to talk a lot more about Disneyana, and I want to get there. Let's get through our last couple questions here that we ask everybody. This is great, though, because that's definitely your history.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
When entering Disneyland on the first day of a visit, which way do you go? Do you go left towards Adventureland? Do you go through the castle towards Fantasyland? Do you go to Tomorrowland? What's your game plan on that first day?
I usually go to the left because I want to go to the pin shop in Frontierland.
That's a good one.
And that's a really good pin shop. Mm-hmm. So always
Teresa
check
loves
it out.
the pin shops.
Yeah, I think I annoy Tag because every time we go, somewhat near it, I have to veer off, and I try and be really quick to go check the pin boards and then run back to whatever it is that we're doing. Because you never know what you're going to find.
I like the pins too. I'm not irritated. Teresa, she wants to look at pins. What happens is, and we both are guilty of this. We just, you always notice it in others, not in yourself. But we have a plan. We're going to go here. And then as we are going there, and then we go off over here. And then something else comes up. And I'm like, we were planning on going to Haunted Mansion. And now we've been to the pin cart and we've gotten somewhere else. Let's just make a decision and get there. That's all. If we want to go to the pin cart, we can go to the pin cart. It's fine. But I do the same thing. Like we'll be heading somewhere and I'll be like, ooh, Bengal barbecue.
First thing that you do is hit up the pin shop. But what is your favorite attraction? So even though this is a Disneyland podcast and Disneyland is first in our hearts, it can be from any of the parks and it can be a retired attraction as well.
Oh, my favorite attraction is Casey Jr.
Ooh.
Because it has a little excitement. It kind of has a little speed to it.
You hear that?
I love that you go up the hill and he says,
yes.
And then he comes down and goes, woo, you go real fast. And then you're going through one of my favorite areas, those little tiny miniature houses of all the famous Disney stuff. And it has a great song. And then you could sit, as I usually sit in the caged animal part. I like that one.
So I have a story about this. So I do another podcast called The Hub Crawl, and we ask Disney questions and we get together and talk Disney. And one of the questions that somebody else posed was, what's an attraction that you like to go on, but everybody else is like, oh, not again. And I said, I have to say Casey Jr. because I mentioned it to Teresa, and she's like, because I remember, like you, that if you sit like in the back, I like to sit in the very back, you get kind of whipped around. It seemed fast.
Yeah.
But I sold her on this, and we went on it. And poor producer James, he's like, I'm fine going on it, but I don't want to be in a cage. Well, he didn't have any other room, and he ended up in a cage by himself, like away from the group. So it was like worst case scenario for him. But we went on it, and it felt slower. And I was like, it was much faster before. And Teresa's like, sure it was. And so I feel like I love going on Casey Jr. just like you. So maybe next time, if we're in the park together, we should ride Casey Jr. together, because we would both enjoy it. And I'll ride in the cage with you. I like in the back, but in the cage would be fun too.
Yeah, either one's good. And my friends know that's my favorite ride, so they indulge me on my birthday. When I go with them on my birthday, they know, and they always bring it up. Are we going on Casey Jr.? Yes, we are. Thank you very much.
I enjoy Casey Jr. It was funny because you're like, oh yeah, it whips you around, and we got off, and I'm like, there is no whipping around. That was a very calm, smooth ride. And I think it
used to be faster.
Yeah, you talked to the cast member. She's like, oh yeah, it used to be faster. They slowed it down.
She said the other train was faster too.
The other train, that's what it was.
So we were on it. Because we were there with another weekly tier who used to work that attraction, and he's this big, tall biker guy, which is really hilarious because he talked about, because you got to like sit in the
down.
That's hard to get into that space.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how he does it, to be honest, but he rode it with us, and I don't know how he did that either because he's got long legs and he's tall. Anyway,
the one thing I wish I could do, I love Storybook, like the canal boats as well, because I just love Storybook Land. I think it's so cute. I wish they had walking paths so I could get a closer look at all of the tiny details.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, I'm probably, maybe I'll have to be like a really weird Disney fan one of these times and bring little binoculars so I can look. I
little
just want
opera glasses.
That there's so many details that you can't quite catch because you go by too quickly, but they're beautiful.
We got to get a full boat. And we've got to tell the captain that we want to go slow. There you go. Just go your slowest speed you can go, please.
Yeah, I had a wonderful occurrence many years ago. My wife is an attorney, and for about 6 or 7 years before COVID, she would take her staff, it's a small staff, to Disneyland.
Oh, fun.
And then we eat at Napa Road.
Oh,
and
nice.
And then usually we would make them, they can do the parks, and then they just meet us for Napa Road, and then we try to do a ride or two afterwards and have our picture taken together. And one year we went on Storybook, and we happened to catch it right before the fireworks. Now, I didn't know they did this, but they stopped the boat. It was the coolest thing to see the fireworks from the boat. Oh my God. That was fantastic.
We're going to have to try to time this.
Yeah, we're just going to hang out by
Can we just wait here until fireworks?
Let us know when you're going to do the firework round, and then we'll hop on.
Yeah.
That's so cool. There was something else I just heard about, which I didn't know about. Maybe you knew about this, but if you are the first family in the morning to get to the Storybook Land Canal boats, they have a captain's log that you get to sign into. Okay,
one of my friends who I've known since she was 2 years old is now 37 and has 3 children. And she went, they're all Disney people. Yeah. The all passes. And she said she knew about that. And she asked me, she's writing me on Facebook, Nicolasa, did you know this? I said, no, I didn't know that.
I know.
Her kids, she told her kids they were there for rope drop, and her kids ran, and they got to do it. They were so excited.
That's what a cool little, only at Disney. That's such a Disney.
I feel like some attractions have different things like that, right? So, Storybook Land has that.
These, such well-kept secrets.
Well, yeah, and you've got, not anymore, apparently. No, but you've got things like if you get the first official Dole Whip, you get a button with the first Dole Whip of the day and stuff like that. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's all sorts of these fun little.
How long do you think they've been doing that at the Storybook? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. You know who we should ask? We should ask Stephanie, since she used to work Storybook Land Canal boats.
Oh, okay.
So we'll have to ask her if they did it when she was doing it.
Yeah. It's
although what a fun little extra. I love whoever came up with that idea. That was just so fun.
And what's so funny is Teresa, we were there this last time, and she goes, you know what's ruining Disneyland? Social media. Because everybody's all on the lookout to find all of these hidden gems in the park. And then they tell everybody on social media, and then it's not a hidden gem anymore. Because that's what she said. She was talking about the buttons that you can get, the happy birthday and I'm celebrating. Yeah. And you used to have to go to City Hall and the person would write you the button and they'd give it to you and it would be really cool looking. And now they just have it in a cart, or some of the pin trading locations or retail locations, you could just ask and they'll just pull it out of a drawer and give it to you.
Right.
It's not as special.
We were talking specifically about the honorary citizen.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're those you can just...
That's how I got mine.
Grab and go with those now, whereas I think before you had to
you could do that?
You used to have to do something really, really special to earn one. Or
answer trivia or something.
Last time we were there, it was just oh, you like that button? Here you go. I was oh.
Because she was at the pin trading card in Frontierland, and the lady, I don't remember what we were asking for, but she had opened the drawer, and there was an honorary citizen button. I'm like, oh, you've got an honorary citizen button. And she's like, yeah, you want it? Yes. But I didn't have to do anything for it. So
I have the scroll. The certificate? Because you've seen those, right?
No.
I haven't.
So it's a certificate, probably 12, 18 inches tall, this wide. And they put your name on it, and it says you're honorary citizen of Disneyland.
See, that's way more special.
See, you and I never got on that.
That's
so
we
were frauds. Frauds.
Yep.
Frauds. All right, well, let's talk about Disneyana. So our exchange student asked me this today. What is Disneyana? Where does the name come from? And just kind of for people who don't know what Disneyana is, what is Disneyana?
The club.
Yeah, the club.
Oh, the club?
Well, tell us what Disneyana is, and then what's the club?
Hey, Disneyana is anything related to Disney, the Disney company. So that could be the parks, it could be books, it could be the films, it could be artwork, it could be music. It could be anything at all related. And, so we had flyer that we would pass out at places of swap meets and stuff like that, trying to build up the membership of the club. And it had in big letters, Disneyana, broken up in syllables. But instead of the definition, it said, if you don't need the definition and understand what this is, we have a club for you.
That's perfect.
And then it had, how you could join and stuff like that.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know, exactly. And we want you to come join us. I love it.
And the Disneyana Club started because we didn't want to be a collector's club. We wanted to be about, eventually, preserving the legacy of Walt Disney. Mm-hmm. And that's what we were about. When we had our shows on sale, we made all the people who wanted a table become members because we didn't want to just be them coming to sell things. We wanted to be more than just sell. And so we're all about, our love of Disney, whatever that love may be.
So this was really such a fun experience for us because first I had heard of Disneyana before, which, being in the Midwest, hearing of Disneyana, I just always assumed that it was more of like the collector side of things and the sale. That's kind of, for some reason, that's all I ever heard of. And then we were talking actually with Lynn from the Sweep Spot, and he's like, oh yeah, they've got this Legends dinner and all this other stuff. And we're like, what? Sign us up. So that's, we didn't realize how much more Disneyana was. So that was such a wonderful and just eye-opening experience. And it was just seriously like one of the coolest events. We've done D23 and you just can't compare the two. It was just so much more calm and casual and just this like
intimate.
Intimate, but like this relaxed and family feel. It was just amazing.
That's something that Teresa talks about a lot since we went, is just, we talked, and this is a great time to ask you this, I guess, is we were trying to figure out is the goal to kind of keep it that intimate feel and trying not to expand to the masses and it ends up being something D23 like where it's just a chore almost to do? Are you trying to expand a bunch of membership, or are you trying to kind of just keep it that little intimate group of people, like the core, like hardcore fans or whatever? Because that was something that Teresa was saying, is it was so nice because at like D23, there's no way you could just ask Bob Gurr something or ask Garner Holt. There's this us and them kind of, when there's that many people, you have to. But in this setting, it was like Bob Gurr and Garner Holt and Terry Hardin were just like part of the crowd, and they were just hanging out with Disney peeps.
Well, when we first started, our goal was to have a large convention. I think our largest convention was maybe 400 people. That was really as much as we wanted because it was really hard for us to do 400 people. And then it got really... Then it was a real commitment. It was a whole week. It would be like from Tuesday to Sunday. That's a lot. You have to take a week off of work, and that's asking a lot. But we had people coming from all over the country, and that's how we started chapters too, because these people would have the same reaction we did at the beginning. Like, we don't want to just do it once a year. We want to do this all the time. I said, well, make it a chapter. And so they did. And even today, we have about 15 operating chapters around the country, and including one in Canada also. We would like more people, but it's so competitive now. Back then, we were only competing at the beginning with the Mouse Club. Then for a few years, we weren't competing. Then we got into the 90s, and the Disney company decided, you notice they're doing these conventions? We could do that.
That looks like a good
they
idea.
started doing them in Florida. And, they blew us out of the water because in the sense that, how do you compete with this? I mean, I never could afford at that time to go to Florida every year, but a lot of my friends did, who were members of the board and very involved. And it's like, they did fabulous stuff. And then it wasn't lucrative enough. And so they stopped. So while all that happened, we continued chugging along and having our conventions. And we continued having them till, I think the last time, we came down to like 5 days and then 4 days. And then our last, quote, convention was, I think, 2008. I think I have that. I have the agenda for that one. And after that, it just became, people couldn't make that financial commitment of coming to that many days. And so we then switched to doing 2 times a year. We do it in now May and in October. We have dates for October 22nd and 23rd for our next one. And we stick a show and sale at the end. So we do a day of presentations with our Legend Award, and then the next day show and sale. But it's interesting, your comment about you didn't know we did all this. We have never figured out how we can educate the people who come to our show and sale about what we do the day before. Because they're like you. Most people don't have any clue that we do that. They don't. And so we're trying to figure out, we've always tried to figure out how to do that. I mean, we have our mailing list, and so many of those people are on our mailing list. We send them information about our Saturday event, but I don't think we get a lot of people.
Well, we will help spread the word because we're hooked.
Yeah.
We are hooked. I like when we were there for this last one and you announced the October dates, I put it in my calendar. I'm like, I'm going to have to figure out how to even if it's just a long weekend, because it was just so cool. And I was saying to Tag that it's such a wonderful environment that the club creates. And I think that's what makes people like Bob Gurr, Terry Hardin, and Garner Holt I think that, you create a sense of comfort, and you don't draw this like line in between, you don't talk, the us and them line, and you just it's just so comfortable. So I think, that's really special for them, and then it's also really special for us, the fans. So I think it's just amazing, because it's not like, right, D23 is super cool in its own sense, but it's stressful.
It's exhausting.
You have to get into these, virtual queues that, and you're waiting hours and hours, and it's very exhausting to do, but it is a really wonderful experience in its own sense. But this was just so different, and just so, it was just great. So we're hooked. So you won't be seeing, you'll be seeing us much, much more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I don't think I have yet, but I will sign up for the Disneyana newsletter, because I want to make sure. Also, that was something we were surprised about, was we were going to buy tickets to just the event, and we saw that if you were a member, that you'd save all this money, and then we found that the family membership was like $20, and I'm like, well, this is just obvious what you got to do. You become the family member, and then and then you get the tickets for the event, which was amazing.
It was interesting, because we always set the non-member price at an outrageous price. So members was $109, non-members was $169. So even if you spent $20, Joy, it would be $129. But we always have at least two people who pay the non-member price, and it's like, thank you for your money. Thank you.
Maybe it's a one-time thing for them. They're just going to do it the one time. Whereas we want to become members, because we want to know, first of all, it's a, such a reasonable price. It's hard to say no to. But then then we feel like we're now in the loop, even though we're in Wisconsin. We have to look up. I think there are some clubs near-ish us. Otherwise, we're going to have
There's the virtual one.
Yep. Or do the virtual chapter.
No, you're Wisconsin. There's the... What's the name? No, that's Oregon.
Because I think I saw that there was one in like Rochester, Minnesota, which is about an hour.
There's one in Wisconsin.
Oh, there is?
The president is named Fred Vogel.
We're going to have to look it up.
And he, if you go to our website, you'll have information, look up chapters. There is. He used to be affiliated with our chapter.
Aqualand chapter.
Yeah, Aqualand. And then he retired. I think he retired, and he and his wife moved to Wisconsin, so he started a chapter.
Oh.
And he was a real big organizer of our event we did October 1st at Walt Disney World last October to celebrate the birthday. On the 30th of September, we had a luncheon with about 109 people who came from all over. And we had Ducky Williams and we had Alex Mayer come and join us for that. And that was really fun, too, because that really was the first time we got together for that event. And he started it and ran with it, and with a couple of our board members who worked with him. So yeah, there's definitely I don't know how far that is from you, but it's definitely.
Now, I'm curious. So we found out all of this stuff at the ceremony on, the actual like get together, not the show and sale. And so I just wanted you to share maybe a little bit more of what does the Disneyana fan club do? So what are some of the things you guys do? Like when we were there, you were doing Disneyana Legends ceremonies for different people. So can you just kind of talk a little bit about the stuff that the Disneyana fan club does in that regard?
Well, we started the Legends Award. You can go to our website and find out. But it was like not the first year, not in 85, but I think it was after the Disney started their Legends Award. So I know that. And I think it was the beginning 90s. And
93.
93, thank you. One of the things that distinguishes us from the Disney company in honoring people and hosting them is that we really treat them well. We really have a lot of respect for them and awe well-intentioned. We treat them right. We treat them with the respect we think they deserve. They become friends. They really become friends. And they become, as a result, very, very supportive of it, which is why when I want somebody, I find out who they know that we know, and I get to them that way. Like Kim Irvine's a good example. I went up to Kim Irvine 3 years, right before COVID, and she was attending the Carol Wood Foundation's yearly barbecue. And they were having this great barbecue. They had a lot of Imagineers go to that, and they are very supportive of that organization. And she was there, Tony Baxter was there, Bob Gurr was there. I mean, it was just a wonderful group of people. And they were honoring Kim at that event. And I went up to Kim and I said, you know, I'm from the Disneyana fan club. We'd really like to honor you. And she looked like a little bit taken aback by me asking her. I just said, well, I'll try contacting you another way. And I kind of let it go. And she had no recollection that in 2008, she had attended our convention. In 2008, or the year that the apartment up above above the Pirates of the Caribbean used to be a gallery, a Disney gallery. They turned it into what it was originally supposed to be, which was the apartment for the two brothers. She was in charge of that. And she came to our convention and she spoke about that, showed us photographs. And then just because she's a very generous person and was having a good time, she said, you know what? I'll do 2 tours for you guys. So just like that, we organized it on the spot where just pull people's name out of a hat, and 50 people, 2 groups of 25, got to go on a private tour conducted by her of the apartment.
That's amazing.
Teresa, I think, would have died.
Yeah, I would have just fallen over right there.
And, you know, people were so excited to go.
Yeah.
And I was so excited because I got picked because we didn't play favorites. We didn't put the board on. We put everyone's name.
Wow.
So I was so excited I got picked. She had no recollection. So when I wanted to have her to be honored, I called Carol Mumford. Now, Carol Mumford is a longtime member of our club, going back to the beginnings. She was there at the very beginning, back in 85, 84. And she used to be married to David Mumford. I don't know if you know who that is. So David Mumford was an Imagineer. And he and his partner, Bruce Gordon, both Imagineers, did fantastic work for the company back then.
Nice.
And they used to come to our convention all the time. And they've also written a couple books. One called The Nickel Tour. The other one is called Waltz Time, about the Sherman Brothers. The Nickel Tour is about postcards, which if you have it, it's a fabulous book. If you don't have it, you want to get it. And then the other one is Waltz Time, about the Sherman Brothers. They wrote those books.
Wow.
And he died so she was married to him, and he died at a very early age, in his 40s. And then the funny thing is, right around the time of the opening of Walt Disney Family Museum, Bruce Gordon, who had been continued in working as an Imagineer and was working very closely with the Disney family on the museum up north, he died.
Wow.
So we lost 2 real good friends of our club at a pretty young age, actually.
Yeah.
So I called her, and she worked at the time for Garner Holt. And so I said, you know, I'm having a little trouble. She doesn't seem to be interested. And she says, I'll talk to her. So she did. She called her up and she explained to her how Garner got the award and how it's a fabulous organization. You want to do this. They're really sincere. And she talked about all the different people we've honored. And so all of a sudden I wrote her a letter and she said, yeah, I'd be happy to.
That's amazing. That's really amazing.
That's kind of how we do it. You know, we try. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't.
I'm on the website right now, and I'm just scrolling through, and you guys have done this since 1993.
Such amazing.
And there is just to give our listeners an idea of the people you've made legends.
Who come to our conventions.
Yeah.
In an intimate setting like you experience.
Exactly.
That's just amazing.
You had Mark Davis as the Sherman Brothers, Ex Intencio, Raleigh Crump, like Mary Blair,
Roy E. Disney.
Yes, just all, and then of course like the 3 people that we saw, Garner Holt and Terry Hardin and Bob Gurr, like just amazing.
When we had Roy Disney, he came when there was that big
hubbub with Michael Eisner trying to take over the company again.
Hubbub. There you go. That's a good way to say it.
He came and he did it to spite Eisner, and he came and he brought with him slew of computers so people could sign up right there to go to the stockholders meeting and vote.
Against
most
Michael
of us
Eisner.
are stockholders. I mean, we got to have our certificate, right?
Yep.
Most of us have some stock. That was a big deal having him.
Wow.
That's just incredible. I can't even imagine the stories and that you've heard and the things that, you've been a part of. Just looking through this list of names is just
I don't know if you noticed, but during the convention, during the Legends, we ran all of them so you could see the names, because we try to do that because not everybody knows we've done that and that it goes so far back. And some of the names, like we sponsored a tour of Tokyo Disneyland 20 years ago. I think it's the 20th year. And when we did that, with the help of Marty Scalar, who was a very good friend of ours, who unfortunately has passed away, he set it up so we could do a legend luncheon there. And we honored the people who were the president and CEO of the Oriental Land Trading Company.
That's just so cool.
I tell you, man, those Oriental Land Company people, they should be in charge of Disney, because I always say
absolutely,
it's so great because they go, we understand that when we spend money, we make it back in handfuls. Yep. So here's a blank check, Imagineering. Build us something.
Make it happen.
And it's so sad to me. I went on a rant last night about this. It's so sad to me that the Walt Disney Company doesn't invest in their own stuff as much as this company who's licensing stuff from Disney does. It's just nuts. I'm like, this other company is making a ton of money. You could be doing the same thing in the United States. Why would you?
And have you learned nothing in 39 years? We have learned nothing in 39. Their merchandise is far superior. Their rides are far superior. I'll never forget when they. I've never been to Tokyo Disneyland, and in fact, we are not sponsoring a trip, but we're letting our members know that one of our members, who's a travel agent, is putting together a 40th anniversary trip.
Oh,
and I'm hoping to go on that. And next April, when they do all this great stuff, I just am envious because I've never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always heard about the Winnie the Pooh ride there. It's supposed to be have you ever been to Tokyo?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So
we're in the same boat as you, where we're just looking, we're like,
oh yeah, it's supposed to be this fantastic ride, right? And I'm one of those people who refuses to go on the internet and to go on rides everywhere.
You and Teresa both. Yep. She's the same way.
I will not do that. And so around the same time they built that ride, they built that piece of crap in, I forget, Critter Country in Disneyland.
Yeah, they replaced the Country Bears.
Yeah, and the Imagineer I mentioned, Bruce Gordon, was working on that. And I was embarrassed for him that he worked on that. Because I've always said to people after I wrote, I said, you know what? The two of you and me in an hour could have come up with a better ride.
I feel like, it's the thing that ruins it for me.
How embarrassing that they would do that.
Yeah, the thing that ruins it for me is that Heffalumps and Woozles area. I don't know what it is about that area.
That's my favorite part of the whole ride, because I like the music.
I like the music, but the visuals of it, I'm like, this is just, it's not the standard, right? It's not, it's just not up to par.
It's just cheap. Let's put this together. We take out this good ride that everybody liked.
Mm-hmm.
I still, when I go to Walt Disney World, enjoy the Magic Kingdom, which I do not like the Magic Kingdom, but there are a few things I go and do the few things I like and leave. And I do like to go on that ride if I can.
Yeah, I'm just sad that, and I make this argument all the time, so I'll keep it short because everybody who listens to our podcast knows that it's the Disney parks in general, even now, like after COVID, or even when they were reopening from COVID, in general, they print money all the time. Even when the economy's bad, they're still making money. Like, it's not okay, maybe they're not making 10 stacks of money during a recession, but they're still making
8 stacks.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it always makes me so angry when the parks are like the first place in the company that they cut stuff from. It's like, oh, well, we don't have to build new stuff. Like, we're not going to do all these investments and everything. And the other thing is they always wait too long. So we had the 2008, 2009 housing thing, right? So then they didn't build a bunch of stuff. Well, then D23 2019 happened, and they talked about all this Epcot stuff and all this stuff they want to do. And we're finally comfortable enough that we're going to build a bunch of stuff, and then COVID happens. Right when stuff happens, they just need to spend a bunch of money. Like right now, people are spending lots of money. Build a bunch of stuff before the next financial thing happens. Then when the financial thing's happening, don't build stuff. But it just makes me so mad. Anyway, sorry.
That's okay.
No, I agree. My contention is that part of the problem is the people that they hire to run parts of Disneyland that make a lot of those decisions have no sense of history.
Yeah.
They don't know what went before. They have no clue. They come from, oh, he was the president of the Gap, so now he's going to run Disneyland.
Mm-hmm. That's why we love Kim Irvine so much. And whenever we see her name listed next to a project, we're like, oh, thank goodness.
I can't remember the woman's name. I'm thinking it's Cynthia Harris, but I may be mistaken.
Oh.
She was the first female president, I believe, of Disneyland. She came to speak to our convention. At that time, I used to do registration. So I always sat outside. She came, and I went up to her and just, introduced myself and said, they're going to be next, and I explained what we're doing. And I said to her, it would be really nice if the Disney company, we were talking about pins, would come up with a pin honoring Walt Disney. Do you know you don't make a pin for Walt Disney's birthday? It's December 5th, but you never do a pin for Walt Disney's birthday.
Yeah.
Do you know that you do a pin for Francis Bastille Day? Who cares about Francis Bastille Day? Now, if this was Epcot at the French Pavilion or whatever they call it, I understand. But no, it's Disneyland. Do we care about the French Bastille Day? No, we do not. But we care about Disney. And it took them she went, really? We don't? I said, no, you don't.
Yeah.
She had no clue. Why was she? That's not important to her.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that there for a while, because we had Paul Pressler, we had Cynthia Harris. It was kind of some dark times. Then we got really lucky. We had Matt We Met, who for the 50th, he had literal Tinkerbell, must have flown around with pixie dust, because in the 1 year or 18 months or whatever he had to get Disneyland ready for the 50th, he worked miracles. That whole park got painted and refurbished in a year.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful.
Absolutely.
And it was so amazing. And they had the best fireworks show that Disney's ever put on and just all of that stuff. And then he left, and then we got, whoever else, and things kind of were just whatever. And now, we've got poor Ken Potrock. I think, poor him, they're like, we're closed. Here, you're now the president. Same thing with Bob Iger and Bob Chapek. It was like, guess what? I'm retiring. Here you go. Perfect timing. But I hope that Josh D'Amaro eventually makes it up the ladder at the company, because I think that he has some potential to do some great stuff.
I've heard really good things about Josh, and I share your opinion.
We were so amazed during COVID that he would come in and walk around the park and talk to cast members. And when they had to, make cuts and stuff, he talked to them, and he could easily have just sat in his office and had somebody else, sent an email or something. Right. But he's one of those people. He wants to walk around and be part of the park. And so, and to bring it back, that's how I feel like Disneyana is, because we had all those people that have done great things for the Disney company, and they're just kind of hanging out with everybody. That's what I think is the amazing thing about the Disneyana convention, or what do you even call the get together?
I know I'm going to misspeak here. I don't know what we call it. What happens is we usually have a name for each one.
Okay.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And what happened is this one was supposed to be called 2 years ago before COVID. It was supposed to be called Attractions, Parades, and Fireworks. And so all the speakers were supposed to talk about those three things. And then that kind of didn't quite happen. We'll see what we call it the next time. We should have a real name for the next time. But yeah, we try to have it themed. I call it a weekend event. That's what I call it.
Gotcha. Because this year was We're Back, right? This last one?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, we just did that instead. Let's just do We're Back.
Yeah. Nope. It was fantastic. So the thing that was so cool to me, of course, is being able to. We happened to like walk in and the front row was still open, so we sat front row and we're like, we're front row? We're like Bob Gurr's walking right, but like it was just so surreal for us. It was just so amazing. But the thing that was even more amazing to me was you could just feel the passion just dripping off of these people, even though, you know, Terry, Bob, they haven't been, you know, directly employed by the company for quite some time. They're still doing some projects with them, but it's not like they're living and breathing it every single day anymore. And
Right.
Garner, you know, he kind of, depending on if he has a contract or not, but they're just, it was so cool to see how big of fans that they themselves are too. And
Yeah.
just how, you know, how this is just such a spark for them still. And just listening, you know, listening to Terry talk about her process with designing the Dragon's Lair was just, I mean, it was just incredible. And that was over 30 years ago, you know, now
And
at this
just
point.
think.
And just, I mean, just amazing.
Nicolasa has seen
Yeah, I know.
dozens of
I know.
people have these same type of presentations, and we've only seen 3.
But it really stuck
amazing.
out to me back at the beginning of our talk when you were saying when you went to your first Mickey Mouse Club event, how there's the voice of Donald Duck carrying Donald Duck around with him, you know, like it's really cool how these people are also, you know, it's not just a job for them, that they're also fans, and their excitement makes them want to be a part of the Disneyana group as well, because they, you know, I think that's really special because they know that your heart's in the right place and that you're, you know, doing the right thing with it. I think that's just amazing. So kind of along those lines, I'm sure you have, like we said, countless stories. You could probably write a book of all the things that you've witnessed. But what are some of the things over the years that have really stuck out for you, or things that you're just still in awe to this day that you got to do or experience, or, you know, someone that you got to meet or something?
Richard Sherman came to our convention many times. And one of my all-time favorite Disney movie is Mary Poppins, the original,
yeah.
1964, because, first of all, as a child, my second grade teacher read us the book. And then in 64, my dad and mom took us to go see the movie at what was then the Grauman's Chinese Theater, where it opened. And I just think it's a practically perfect movie in every way. It has great animation, wonderful songs, and wonderful live action. I mean, there's like nothing, I mean, it's a perfect movie, practically perfect. I don't collect things from it, but I just love it. So when he came and he would sing from that movie, that was spectacular. And then his brother wasn't as enthusiastic as him, but he did get his brother to come once. So to have them both there was phenomenal. And he was a very good friend, Mr. Sherman. And he thought that was one of the highlights. The other one was because of we're going every year, my dad would drag us every time to the Golden Horseshoe Saloon, and we'd have to see the show. Well, that was the days of Wally Bogue. And Wally Bogue, and I can't remember the woman's name. It was a specific woman who played a saloon girl. Mm-hmm. And they did this whole shtick, and it was hilarious. Wally Bogue was fantastic. Well, they performed at our convention. We used to have the Legend Luncheon, and we would have a dinner. And we always had to have someone who performed. Sometimes, like, it was a Richard Sherman. This time it was Wally Bogue and this woman who's...
Is it Betty Taylor?
That's it, Betty Taylor. And they performed. Oh, my God, they were hilarious. They did the whole routine like they did in the old days. It was phenomenal. So, you know, it brought back a childhood memory. And they had on the original costumes, and they did the whole shtick. And it was like, I'm sure you could see it. If you hadn't seen it live, you could see it on some old Disney show. But those two are some of the highlights amongst many. Our first convention was at a hotel. I think it was called the Grand Hotel. It doesn't exist today. But we were at the top floor, and our keynote speaker was Ward Kimball. Now, I'd always heard Ward Kimball was a strange bloke. He decided to talk about his collection. You know, we all have belly buttons. And, you know,
Linty.
Sometimes, yes, he brought with him this little vial with what he said was belly button lint that he's collected over the years. That's what he spoke about.
So next time we ride the word Kimball, we can think about belly button
Can
lint.
think about belly
This
button.
guy was so
Wow.
out there. He was fantastic. Because, part of it is he made a mockery of everything, including us,
Yeah.
So it was so much fun. It was so weird. And so much Ward Kimball.
It's okay. I'll be the only weekly tier without an answer. Make sure you send your questions to Producer James or Producer Vern at trivia@DLWeekly.net.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we're going to find out just how good is your knowledge of the Disneyland Parks app. So how do you feel you did?
I think we did pretty dang good.
I think you did as well. So your first one, soar high in the sky on a fanciful flight above Fantasyland aboard Dumbo the Flying Elephant. You both knew that one.
Good job, Teresa.
This may be our one hope at a perfect score for trivia.
Maybe. Maybe.
Maybe. Let's see. Your second question, ride the rails with Casey Jr. Circus Train through Storybook Land past miniature versions of some of Disney's most beloved locales. Both of you getting that one correct as well.
Yay!
Woo!
Your third question, hop inside a woodcarver's cart and take off for fantastic adventures that revisit the beloved tale of Pinocchio's Daring Journey. Both of you knowing that one after a little debate on the last word there.
Yeah, Teresa saved me on that one.
And your fourth and final regular round question, zig and zag during a manic motor car drive through the English countryside. Both of you knowing that is the description of Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Yay!
Your bonus
First time in DL Weekly history that we have a perfect. Well, I'm going to
Well,
assume.
No,
you need to
we've
know your
gotten
bonus
We've had
question.
perfect
Hold on.
scores.
We've had
before?
perfect scores before.
Hold on. You
Oh, I
don't know
forgot
if you
about
got your
the
bonus.
I got so excited.
Calm down. You might have messed up on the bonus.
Yeah, geez, Teresa.
Your bonus question tonight. Spin up, down, and all around atop a regal steed. This classic attraction harkens back to the Knights of the Round Table. The correct answer I was looking for? King Arthur, Carousel. Both of you getting that one correct as well. Your first ever perfect score.
I don't think it's our first ever, but sure.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
Do I have to scroll up? I think it might be your first ever perfect. Combined perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably correct.
Yeah.
Good job, Teresa.
Well done,
Yay.
both
We
of
didn't
you.
suck this time.
We did pretty all right.
Vern, you were so nice to us. I don't
were
know.
very nice
I don't
to
know
us.
what we had to do to bribe you to get here, but I'm glad you're here.
Well, this just taught me a valuable lesson about how well you know the Disneyland Parks app and how much tougher I need to make the questions the next time I do this.
Oh boy.
Yep.
So, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Do you think I should have gone much tougher on them and I need to start going into the Disneyland Parks app and find the much tougher questions? Or do you think you've got some great tough questions that you'd like to send in to me? If you think you've got that great question, feel free to send it in at trivia@dlweekly.net.
Well, we'll be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us. And we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.